listening to the Mark Bradford Alchemy for Life podcast.
Guess what I'm doing? I guess I have to tell you. Hi there. Guess what I'm doing? So in a previous podcast, I talked about something called stolen validation. So let's back up and talk about the V word. Validation. As I affirm in the Status Game 2, I believe that the most important and powerful feeling we can experience as humans is validation. It comes in all forms from all sources, including ourselves. Sometimes we even imagine it, and sometimes we steal it from the future. So as I said in Stolen Validation, when you start to work on something, or you're going to work on something, or you intend to work on something, and you immediately tell others about it, you get praise and kudos and all the things that go with completing the project. People are patting you on the back, and you feel good about that. This happens before you even start it. I call that stolen validation because you're stealing the validation that you would be getting from your future self. So again, if you tell everyone you're going to lose weight, and they all pat you on the back because it's a great idea, it has less impact for when you actually do lose the weight or complete the project, etc. It may even remove some motivation. You're not really going to feel like doing it as much if you've already experienced the reward for it. So as you can imagine, I try to avoid stolen validation at all costs. When I start a project, I just do it. And then when it's completely done, I feel good about it, and I do pat myself on the back or tell others about it. If I just suck all the reward out of it before I even start, there may be nothing left to motivate me to do it. I'm sure taking this to an extreme can cause all sorts of problems with your work ethics, your goals, even your relationships. I mean, think about it. If you go around saying, I'm going to do that, I'm going to be good today. I'm da-da-da-da. Hey, guess what, everyone? I've decided I'm going to go on this extreme diet. Hey, guess what, everyone? I've decided to write a novel. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. And then you go off and you find that there's a lot more to it than you thought. And then you fail. And then you keep it quiet. And then someone says, hey, Barbara, weren't you going to write a novel? And then Barbara gets mad. Yeah, I said I was going to. Well, how you doing on that? I don't know. It doesn't matter. And so it becomes a point of contention. It's a bad thing. I'm not talking about that right now. I'm not talking about taking it to an extreme. In fact, I'm talking about the opposite. But it's still unnerving for me. Stolen validation and writing fiction is what I'm actually talking about. So, after 4 nonfiction books, I decided I wanted to get back into fiction. In actuality, full disclosure, I thought I was just going to take a huge break from writing. I thought, you know what? I wrote all these books. They need to actually do what they're supposed to be doing. As nonfictions, they were supposed to work in tangent with some other things. You know, the last one, Alchemy for Life, was supposed to work in tangent with the coaching and all the other stuff. So I need to let that book do what it's supposed to do. I'm going to take a break. And of course, that's not exactly how writing works. So I am writing a fiction. And I say that as if I'm like in a support group. And this is the hard part. My novel will be out in December of this year. Now, normally I would just simply write the book and focus on it until it's done. Once it was done, I'd then go through all the steps, the marketing, the publishing, the book signings, telling you about it, all that stuff. However, that's actually the wrong way to do it. Writing and publishing a book is actually backwards. You're told that you should market your book 2 years before the book is to be released. First of all, I look back on the 4 books I've already written. I published them within a 13-month span. That means in the course of about a year, I put out 4 books, which also means that most, if not all of the books, simply did not even exist 2 years prior to them being published. So adjusting for this common wisdom way of publishing is difficult for me. Marketing a book that isn't even finished is a scary thing for someone who likes to complete a project and then deliver it. Not to mention, doesn't like bragging. Does that sound like you? I understand that there are things in your life, and mine, in which we commit to before we do them. Creative or technical projects are typically like that. You give a quote for something before you even start it. However, you don't post pictures of it or describe it in detail as if it exists. Instead, you talk about what it is going to be. That might sound like splitting hairs to you. And if you've ever published, you may be clicking your tongue at me for even talking about this. Oh my God. But for someone like me, and possibly you, it is an adjustment to promote something that doesn't exist. Hey, let's write together. As I go through this journey of writing this new book, the right way, I'm going to be mindful that this is the proper way to do things. It will be a wonderful experience of comparing this to the actual stolen validation. For more on the stolen validation, please check out the podcast of the same name. If you're thinking about writing a book or in the middle of writing one, check out my 2 podcasts on writing a book. It's a 2-parter over the course of a few months, and it was set up for the people who said, as their New Year's resolution that I tell them not to make, that they said, hey, I'm going to write a book this year. So I think this could be very helpful to you, the 2 podcasts on writing the book. If you're just thinking about writing one, or you're in the middle of one, or it's confusing, or what have you, hopefully there's a lot of really, really helpful hints in there that can get you unstuck if you're stuck. And if you're curious about my new novel, you can add to my terror and excitement by pre-ordering it right now. It'll be available in paperback and Kindle. Check out the links in this podcast. Check out my author corner on Amazon, where you'll see all the books I've written, including that one. That is to be finished in December. Thanks for listening. I hope this was helpful. It was certainly an interesting ride for me so far, and I thought I definitely need to tell you about this because I bet you experienced something similar to it. And as always, I really like to help. You take care. Hey there, thanks for listening. You know I always appreciate your feedback, right? Well, here's a chance. You can connect with me on Instagram, via the Alchemy for Life site, or most other social media. If you like this podcast, you may love my new book, Alchemy for Life: Formulas for Success. The 239-page paperback is available on Amazon and everywhere else you get your books. All this info is available at Alchemy for Life. Thank you. See you next week.